just 48 hours removed from when UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson was gunned down in New York, and that massive manhunt is still underway for his killer in what police are calling a calculated and premeditated attack. In a new statement, the UnitedHealthcare group says this, quote, "While our hearts are broken, we have been touched by the huge outpouring of kindness and support in the hours since this horrific crime took place. But this killing has generated a very different reaction from some on the internet. Just take a look at some of these comments found under a CNN video about this story online. These are just a few, among dozens of hateful comments that we found, including one saying, quote, "Sorry, my sympathy is out of network." The New York Times writes this, quote, "The dark commentary after the death of the 50-year-old insurance executive from Maple Grove, Minnesota, highlighted the anger and frustration over the state of healthcare in America, where those with private insurance often find themselves in Kafkaesque tangles while seeking reimbursement for medical treatment and are often denied." And that frustration is something that doctors say they've seen from patients throughout their careers.
I see people when they're at their lowest, when the system has failed them, and I'm frankly not surprised. They feel abandoned, they feel exploited, they feel lied to when it comes to the healthcare system, and especially insurances, because of the things you mentioned: denials, prior authorization, narrow networks, the cost of healthcare. It's been going on and bottling up for a long time.
So our panel's back. Annie Linsky, we're going to be clear here about the tragedy that is Mr. Thompson and his family, right? And set that aside. But what we do see in the wake of this is an outpouring of anger around the way people have been treated by these companies. Now, we're again going to be clear. We are not saying that this justifies any sort of violence at all. But this conversation has really exploded. I mean, my family's talking about it.
Absolutely, mine is too. I mean, of course, vigilante justice is not the answer to the problem. But what I should say is, and this incident and the reaction to it ought to be a wake-up call to this industry, which has, there have been many big, really good investigative pieces about UnitedHealthcare in particular, and the issues that their customers have in getting the healthcare that's promised, getting the responses promised. And if it's not it's not a wake-up call to the industry, it certainly will be to Congress, and they are going to have there will be laws.
In a CNN story that was just published about this, they note that a Facebook post that was put up by UnitedHealth Group expressing sadness about the CEO's death, it received 62,000 reactions. 57,000 of them were laughing emojis.
Yeah. I mean, that's sad to think about, but look at this. I mean, and you're right. Most of these healthcare issues are life or death. And I have a sick dad home in Louisiana, and we go to the doctor all the time, and sometimes we get denied for things. And it doesn't feel good, And so I think people have a personal issue with the way their healthcare has been administered. And I think, to your point, Annie, over the next few weeks, few months, we're going to have a conversation about this. If Congress has to take action, I think they will have to, but we hope that these private companies can come to the table and be a little bit more consistent in the way they administer healthcare. I think that would be helpful.
UnitedHealthcare has already been the focal point of ire for Congress because it's vertically integrated. They're buying up doctors' offices. They own the largest PBM, which controls the price of prescription drugs in the country. They're the most aggressive on denying claims. I think UnitedHealthcare will get more scrutiny.
Yeah, and of course we don't know the motivation yet of this killer. We just know that these two words were found on these bullet casings. But Elliot, this is something, the fewer means you have, the harder it is to fight back against some of this stuff. And it is something that happens, it seems like this is a universal experience for people.
Yeah. And I agree with everything that's been said here. This is exposing a frustration in the public across income levels. I just think, just to state the obvious to some extent, Casey, this is as much about the internet and how the internet has broken us as a people. Most of the people putting those laughing emojis and responses would never look this person's wife in the eye and make those things, no matter what kind of problems they might have with how United handled their health care. And that's really, to me, what this is all about.
It's coarse. Very coarse. Very coarse.
The killing of CEO Brian Thompson has struck a nerve in this country. I mean, have you seen some of the stuff people have been saying online? Is exposed just how angry folks are at America's healthcare system. Just a sampling of the comments. My thoughts and prayers are out of network. Another, as they told me when they were denying to cover my medication, sorry for any inconvenience this has caused. And then there's this one. I can't seem to find the room to care over my daughter's $60,000 cancer treatment. Thoughts and prayers. Now, it should come as no surprise that people are mad at healthcare companies, very mad, and UnitedHealthcare included. There are many horror stories of denied claims that have led to suffering for patients and their families.